guns at home, Bill. Don't take your guns to town.
To the man in black. Love this fucking song.
So, it's been a minute since I've covered anything with old cowboys and six-shooters. Keoma was forever ago, and I briefly mentioned Craig Zoller's Bone Tomahawk when I covered Brawl in Cell Block 99. So let's go back to the Old West with some new school sensibilities from one of my favorite more recent filmmakers who normally dabbles in horror. This is Ty West's Western revenge flick from 2016, In a Valley of Violence. A cowboy and his dog are just trying to quietly pass through town, but as with any Western flick, the quiet anti-hero always has to run into the loud-mouthed hothead. Well, in true I'll be your Huckleberry fashion, they step out into the square for an old-fashioned duel. But the stranger ain't looking to kill nobody, nor was he looking for trouble to begin with, so he just biffs this idiot Keoma style. Go home and be a family man. Gilly, the town's Johnny Ringo, happens to also be the son of the best dancer in the Wild West. Hawkeye Hank Hatfield here is played by none other than John Travolta. And before you make basic bitch-ass Scientology jokes, he is awesome in this. I've actually been quite enjoying a lot of Travolta's 2000s and 2010s and onward performances in films, but we'll touch on a little more of that later. Marshal Zuko declares that it was a fair fight, and that Paul, our hero, should be allowed safe passage. Now, I really dig Ethan Hawke in this role, but you couldn't have given him a cooler cowboy name? Django. Doc Holliday. Paul. Alright, let's cut the horse shit. This valley gets violent pretty fast. Gilly is the furthest thing from a good winner, and the kind of guy to murder, death, kill your adorable dog type of sore loser. If that's not enough, him and his goons are pretty happy to throw your ass off a cliff for good measure. Boys will compare this to John Wick. Men of culture, on the other hand. Paul, of course, miraculously survives and sets a blood debt on Gilly and his butt boys. As always, I'm leaving some shit out here because I do feel like this flick is still pretty underrated and I want it to be seen by more people. The film begins strong and keeps ramping up. We get old school blood squibs for the shootouts and slasher style gore for some of the other kills. It has that classic Western feel to it with modern revenge aesthetics. It's like Django meets Death Wish. Or more accurately, and according to Ty West himself, it's like First Blood meets High Plains Drifter, and I can fucking see it. The character of Paul is left mostly a mystery, but we do learn a little bit about his checkered past, which I've decided not to reveal here. He also befriends a well-meaning farm girl named Marianne, whose older sister Ellen is with Gilly and is just as bloodthirsty as he is. Played by Karen Gillan. Gilly and Gillan sitting in a tree, gillying each other. I don't know, man, but the cast is stacked in this bitch. Ethan Hawke makes for an ace Old West anti-hero, rocks the man of few words and much action style. And come to think of it, Buddy has starred and been in some of my favorite movies. I think we all love Training Day, but I think Daybreakers is one of the most underrated modern vampire flicks. Black Phone was my favorite movie of 2021, and he was in probably my favorite movie of 2023, Leave the World Behind. Karen Gillan is a blast as hateable older sister Ellen. Her star was already well on the rise when this film came out. She had already done Doctor Who and the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Though I still think her coolest movie is Oculus. a surprisingly awesome supernatural horror film from WWE Studios, of all things. John Travolta is an easy meme target. I speak from what I see online and little shots I've taken over the years. I ain't perfect, but I'd be full of shit if I didn't tell you that I have enjoyed a fair few of his more recent outings. Some, I'll admit, are downright hilarious, but I'd still recommend them. I adore him in the Taking of Pelham 1-2-3 remake, and From Paris with Love is a fucking banger. The Fanatic has the subtlety of a brick to the face, but Travolta goes full ham, which is always fun to see, and Devon Sawa plays a Z-grade action star. There's outright enjoyable action schlock like Killing Season, which has Travolta playing, I shit you not, a Serbian soldier taking on a deer-hunting Robert De Niro. I may need to cover that. It's for the greater good. And there's also solid, genuine drama, like 2015's Life on the Line, which I recommend going into without knowing anything about it. I could list others, but this is already getting kind of fucking rambly. I will say this, though. When it comes to John Travolta, something I've noticed about him over the years is, regardless of the quality of film that he's in, he never dials it in. And he always seems to be having fun with whatever character he's playing. And his character in this film, known simply as the Marshal, stays true to that. He delivers a fantastic performance here, really looks the part, and is one of the more sympathetic characters of the film besides, of course, Paul. And Abby. Abby is Paul's faithful doggo friend that meets his end at the hands of that bastard man Gilly. He's played by Jumpy the dog. Jumpy the stunt dog has 6 credits to his name, but unfortunately passed away in 2018. You weren't a good boy, Jumpy. You were the best boy. Jumpy and Ethan Hawke have genuinely lovable chemistry, very in sync with each other, and seem to communicate through certain looks. One of the many small but substantial elements that make Ty West's In a Valley of Violence a western to be reckoned with. We also get some great nods to the old school Ennio Morricone spaghetti westerns with this fantastic opening sequence. I mean, you can tell this was done with so much love to the classics. Ty West has recently hit it mega huge with the 1-2 punch of X and Pearl, and if you dug those and haven't really seen any of his other stuff, boy do I have one hell of a late Christmas gift for you. 2009's House of the Devil oozes a genuine slow burn 80s horror aesthetic. 2011's The Innkeepers is an awesomely unique take on the haunted house subgenre. And if your sick ass is into some true crime style, 2013's The Sacrament is chock full of Jim Jones cult vibes. And look, I know he's since kind of disowned this movie, but I personally enjoy the hell out of it, and happen to think that Cabin Fever 2, Spring Fever, is head and shoulders way the fuck better than the original. I think I've said that before.